Welcome to Staying Sweet, the podcast. Tune into my weekly podcast to hear me, Alice Bradley, delve deeper into building your brand and enjoying a luxury lifestyle. All while staying sweet, of course. Whether you're looking to level up in business, start something of your own, or balance a more exciting, fulfilling, and healthier lifestyle, each episode will be created especially to inspire and encourage your own success so you can really have it all. Plus, don't miss out on the Staying Sweet specials, a series of exclusive interviews and conversations with Alice Bradley's network of inspiring entrepreneurs and brand owners. Always protect your sweetness, your light is not a weakness. Don't forget, there are new episodes every Monday. For daily content, you can check out my Instagram and you can follow me at alicelucybradley. Stay sweet! Hello guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Staying Sweet, the podcast. I'm so glad to have you here, and if you're new, welcome to my podcast. This is episode 17. Like, we are fully in the flow at this point in time, and it's so interesting that in such a state of flow, I find myself already thinking about what is next for the podcast and where I see this podcast going. I feel like the last week itself has been so crazy with lots of changes and lots of thought as to where the next steps are for all the different areas and all the different parts of my business, and in particular my podcast. With this in mind, I really did think that a podcast on rebranding and when is it really the right time to start messing around with your business and start to change things up. So we're going to be touching on that today. Of course, I like to start with my updates first, and I think my updates tie in really well with this episode because I was having a lot of thought actually as to what to do with my brand strategy, particularly with my podcast. Lots of things have been coming through this past week for my podcast specifically. So I was thinking about launching an Instagram and having a platform that was solely focused on sharing the podcast content, because I feel like it can be a little bit lost in my main feed content on my personal sort of go-to platform, and then sharing and repurposing the content over on the likes of TikTok and Twitter. It can be really easy to just get a bit confused and lost with the direction and where things are really going, kind of where to direct people, and just having a little think about my brand strategy and where I see this podcast actually going. I thought a podcast Instagram was the best way to go, and I've actually set up an Instagram now which you guys can go ahead and follow. It's called @StayingSweetPodcast. Super excited to have an official name and an official platform for all my podcast elements and sharing lots of quotes, sharing what's going on behind the scenes of the podcast. I really think it's going to be the making of the podcast and just give you somewhere to kind of go to, like a base, and get all your information in one place. So that has pretty much taken up most of my weekend. I feel like this past week has gone so fast. May is already flying by. Like, we've literally done a week of May already, and there have been lots of developments in the past week, lots of things happening. I attended a few events, which was exciting, and also had a Candy Kittens event, which was really fun, and it was the first Candy Kittens event as one of their brand ambassadors. And yeah, it was a really lovely event. It was the Candy Kittens X Brewdog launch, which I am so excited to share and talk about actually, and I feel like is quite a fun update. They have decided to bring together two well-known brands, two millennial brands, I guess, and bring them together and create this amazing collaboration, which is the Candy Kittens flavoured Brewdog beer. I think it's like a 6% API. Like I could be wrong. I think that's what it is. But I have tried it. I've tasted it and it is amazing. And yeah, it just got me really thinking about brand strategy, rebranding. Obviously, Candy Kittens aren't going to be going down the whole like making the beer thing, but they've gone into a new element of the food industry, and it's just really exciting and something to celebrate, really. And I think Candy Kittens have done that really well. The launch was amazing. It was a very cleverly strategized launch. They actually ended up using the new Gourmet's flavour, which is a spin-off of the original Candy Kittens, and have inputted that flavour into the Brewdog. So it's almost like a hybrid already of their new flavour. So it's bringing a lot of attention to the brand and obviously the new products as well. And yeah, it just got me really excited. I feel like I'm seeing things now from a real business perspective, and you know, like what are brands doing well and why is it working. And I think sometimes when we reroute and we rebrand our businesses and we change tack slightly, we get a better version of ourselves, we entice a new audience, and we allow new people to take us seriously. And I really feel like Candy Kittens did just that. You know, we had beer drinkers drinking a sweet flavoured beer and it worked. It was amazing. It didn't lose its beer taste. Like, I'm a real beer girl, so the fact that there was still that kind of element to the drink, it was amazing. And yeah, it really got me thinking about what could I talk about in this week's podcast. So we're going to touch on the process of rebranding, some tips that I have been picking up and have kind of accumulated over time, things that I've noticed with my own brand strategy. You know, I've changed things up in my business across all my platforms hundreds of times. It's a joke and it's okay. And I really think every time you rebrand, it's a new version of you. So let's start first with the affirmation and quote of the week. And that is, I allow space and room to grow and accept the need to change. Now, I'm a Cancer. I am, you know, a very homebody person, very nostalgic. I cling on to things for dear life, but there's one thing that I do really well. And it's when the shell doesn't fit anymore, I scurry out and I find a new shell and, you know, set up base somewhere else. And that's not necessarily in the actual like terms of moving home necessarily, but it is in my business and it's something that I do across lots of different things. And I think one thing that really springs to mind is my vision boards and how often I need to circulate those. Like, I know people have vision boards for literally the whole year, but for me, as soon as the board is lackluster and just doesn't feel like it's motivating me or encouraging me to be successful, I have to sit down and change it. And I really do give myself that time, and I allow myself to rebrand my vision and get myself back on track, back onto new goals and new focuses. So yeah, I think my vision board is a really like quick example of, you know, my direction and where I see myself. And if it doesn't flow and if it doesn't feel like it's me, it has to go and it has to be changed. And yeah, from the amount of times I switch up my Canva vision boards, you would literally realize that I rebrand my vision so much. And that is actually why I've been doing a lot of my vision boards on like digital capacity and like from a digital format, because it's so much easier to just change a few photos and just get it back on track, and then I just save it down. And I actually have my vision boards on my laptop, my phone screen, less so on my phone screen these days just because I'm out and about a lot and I tend to keep my vision boards very private. But it is quite nice to have, you know, on your laptop. I'm literally looking at it right now and I'm thinking, okay, are there things here that could be changed or tweaked? I'm really loving my current vision board, but definitely feel like there's going to be some room to flow into this sort of new energy. And I can already see as well from the pictures on it, I feel like I'm taking things off. So it's obviously working, but I'm ready for that sort of new switch up and that new change. Now, when you're looking at your business and getting yourself in that state of flow, I really do think that you have to allow yourself to evolve and not be too stuck in the thought that what you have right now is perfection. Obviously, don't be too self-critical, but you do really need to think about, okay, as I continue to grow and throw together these new ideas into my business, how is my business going to evolve and change? And I'm really noticing that, across all the different things that I've launched over the years. Another really major example is my blog. I don't blog anymore in the same sense. I'm on different platforms and I'm content creating, and my blog came from Banty's Leather and Lace. If you remember that blog name, guys, you are real OGs. But Banty's Leather and Lace right now, what are you talking about? Those types of names have gone. We use our own name and we personal brand the hell out of everything. Everything is about our name. And I think that's so interesting when you look back and see how the OG bloggers had really obscure names that had nothing to do with them, or maybe it was something that they were interested in or that they liked, and okay, it was them, but if anybody else was to try and find them, they wouldn't be discoverable. You wouldn't know to associate that name to a person unless you did know that person already. So yeah, it's really interesting how over time this whole idea of personal branding and actually just using your name is the key to a good brand and a good personal brand. But I truly believe that you have to allow yourself to get to that stage where you allow it to flow. I remember the day when I decided to change all my social media and also change and evolve my website, and it was a really sad day. I actually didn't lose my Banty's website until 2020. It literally took that long. I don't think I blogged on it for a year and a half, and I just let it sit there. I paid the fee to keep it, and I just thought, this is no longer me, but I feel really sad about letting it go. And yeah, I feel like you have to get to that point where you go, this isn't right for my business anymore, and you have to let yourself flow into this new era and this new kind of natural progression. And I also think natural progression comes with ease. It's almost like an abundance mindset. It's these new ideas flow in, and the more you accept them and allow them to happen, the easier it is to transition with your business. And I think with all the things that I've done, finding my color palette and finding my branding and my slogan, stay sweet, stay sweet has been something at my core and has been, a sign off from day one. But there are other things within my blog that I no longer use and I no longer facilitate. So you have to keep some elements of it, but you also need to think, okay, what can I do now? Where is this going? How can I rebrand? And for a while, a short period of time, I really did think that the stay sweet thing was not part of my branding anymore, and I didn't use it as frequently. But there are new ways that it's evolving into my current branding. It's in my podcast name, it's still in my sign off, and it's still in my core value of who I am and who I want my business to be. I want to stay sweet. I want to be an industry leader who is a nice person, who offers advice and also helps others level up. So without me even knowing it, my core value has always been the same. And I think that's really exciting. And I think that's where businesses are going to be successful, if they keep elements of their original branding, but just allow other elements to evolve around it. So this rebrand, this new strategy really could be the route to your success. Making things look shiny and exciting again. Sometimes that needs to happen. I think it's really important ultimately that you don't lose sight of who you are at your core, but you allow yourself to do the research and look into what you're doing well and what you could probably switch up, or where things are feeling a little bit stagnant. In the case of my vision board, there are pictures that work really well and still motivate me, but there might be a picture next to it that isn't really exciting me as much. I'm finding I'm not looking at it, I'm not getting inspired. So look at that with your business. I think a really good strategy for analysing what's going well in your business is a SWOT analysis. I feel like I'm bringing back, the OG business studies A-level information here, but your girl did business studies A-level, and I still can't believe I did that actually. And I really wish I kept the textbooks. That's the one thing that I really regret. I got rid of my business studies textbooks, and I would love to read them now because I feel like they would be so useful and motivating and would still be on point for what I'm doing and trying to pursue now. So if you are studying business studies, do not get rid of your books. They will come in handy later down the line. Like, yes, things go out of date, whatever, but the core things are there. And one of the things that I have never forgotten is a SWOT analysis. So your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Like, I really hope my business studies teacher is listening right now. And yeah, that would just be iconic, wouldn't it? But I love this type of analysis. This is like your journal prompt for your business. This is what's going well, like where am I succeeding, you know, what parts of my business do I really like and what do I put my focus into? What are my weaknesses? You know, where do I find my branding is not on point or my cash flow is not coming in this element, like what products aren't selling, that type of thing. And then obviously look at your opportunities and threats. I see opportunities as like future changes or like competitors, like what other people are doing within the industry. And then threats, you could also look at competition. You could say, okay, what is somebody else doing that I'm not doing? Obviously, we don't want to be too comparative and try to think that the grass is green on the other side, but you have to really look at what your competitors are doing and where they're going with their business. Market research is really going to serve you here. And I think as well, like if you're a new business, this could be a brand pivot rather than, you know, market researching on something that isn't necessarily existing. Like I feel like when it's a new fresh business, you've kind of just done the market research and you haven't really allowed your business to just sit in the industry and just flow for a minute. So don't be too hasty with it. But I've been doing my podcast now. I'm on episode 17 and I'm already thinking, okay, there's things that I want to rebrand. There's things that I'm like, right, this needs to tweak. I need to change this. Now I'm in my flow. I'm seeing new things evolve. And those things are actually your brand pivots. And it's not a complete rebrand, but it's just, okay, we need to iron that thing out. It's just ironing out the little kinks in your business when you're establishing yourself. And I think that shift will feel less radical if you haven't established a long-standing business, because it's just going to feel like, you know, you are ironing out the kinks, and that's fine. And again, I'm already seeing it with my podcast. I'm already thinking, okay, maybe I want to rebrand like my cover art. Like I'm literally already thinking about that. And I have gone ahead and set up an Instagram now. Sometimes you just kind of get to this stage in your business where you're ready for the next step. And in order to do that, you really just have to assess where your business is going. So yeah, a rebrand can be a shock to the system. It can kind of feel like jumping into cold water. You find yourself kind of out of breath and you feel like you're completely out of your depth. But it can also be a point in time where you actually like concentrate on your breathing, you know, your focus kind of narrows down, your senses heighten, and you get this like weird clarity of mind. You actually see your business 5 years down the line, and that can be really exciting. Or you try something new and you go, actually, I'm quite good at this. So establishing a TikTok for your brand, or deciding that you're going to go on Instagram. Like I literally spent the whole weekend creating an Instagram for my podcast, and I was so excited. I did it so fast, guys. And yeah, that was the shock to the system. The shock to the system was there was no resistance. It was just a full state of flow. My head was in the zone. Like I actually knew what I wanted it to look like very quickly. And it was very exciting building the layout and working out my strategy, how I was going to post. Like you guys need to go and check it out for yourselves so you can see what I mean. But I wanted to get into this like nice way of posting. So like posting an inspo picture, then posting an episode, then posting a reel, like getting everything just in a state of flow. It felt really organic and really natural. So it was the time for me to create the Instagram. You know, had I started it back with episode 1, I don't think it would have had the same flow. So yeah, allowing yourself to just get yourself settled in the industry and then bring in these new elements is going to be where your brand is going to pivot and just establish itself, you know, in a better place. I also want you guys to remember that a rebrand could be a kind of kick up the bum. It can kind of make you feel like, wow, this is why I decided to do this particular thing. And it can help you like fall in love with your business again. And it's not a great thing when you feel yourself like actually kind of loathing what you're doing. And I think that is a sign that you are stagnant and that things don't feel like they're going well. You know, when you are in a state of flow, everything feels really exciting. You want to get up and post, you want to share stuff, you want to sit and record. So take that opportunity to just fall back in love with your business again. Help focus yourself back to your customers, back to your clients. Find out what your strategy is. You know, your strategy could be this new sector and you don't even realize it, like the TikTok thing, or deciding to start a YouTube channel, or deciding to launch a new product. Those things are really going to help you. So I think I want to leave you with a couple of things, you know, how to know if it's time to change. Obviously, I don't want you to sit here and think, you know, my business is going really well, I'm not feeling ready to rebrand or shift my business. It is going well. If it is, then, you know, you might be in this real state of flow. So don't disturb that too much, but always be thinking about, okay, where is the next rebrand, or what am I going to do to change up my business? So I really think these particular things are going to be key indicators for you. One of them is your core audience has or is changing rapidly. So your current brand isn't positioned or resonates with them anymore. I think a really good example of this is when brands decide to launch on TikTok and they're like a super small business, and then they blow up because of a video and they sell out, and then they've got this huge audience, they grow very quickly and they can't meet the demand. So they panic and things are rushed, things are, you know, sent out like in a completely different way to how they would have initially packaged it. Everything seems more rushed. I think when those core values change, when it's no longer about, okay, I really want to take, you know, half an hour to package this product properly, to quick, get this out because we've sold 100 today. Like, your values and actually what you want your business to be about has changed so suddenly. So now you have to think about, okay, how can I do this quicker now that the demand is there? So you really have to think about, do I need to rebrand my actual like behind the scenes, like the manufacturing process? Like, those elements of your business could be where things are meant to change. I think another thing as well is you're launching new products or switching up offers or just changing things around slightly, like different services, and they no longer align to where your business is right now. So example of this is, I'm going to give you really random examples, guys, but a photography business, you decide that, okay, I'm shooting this type of client, and now I've shot a wedding as a favor for a friend and I really enjoyed it, so I want to do more weddings. But your portfolio literally shows you shooting babies and fashion, or just babies. Like, you need to think about, okay, I need to go out and actually attend some shoots. I need to go maybe on a course and get some test shots done. Like, actually looking at where you need to position yourself in order to get those clients in. So yeah, sometimes it can be the fact that you're deciding to launch something new and you don't have the credentials to prove it or to kind of justify, you know, your value in that particular area. Another thing is your industry is evolving rapidly. So for me, I would probably use the social media landscape as a good example, because oh my goodness, the last few years alone have been wild. Like, think about 3 years ago, brands weren't on TikTok. You danced on TikTok. Now it's all about business, monetization, profitability. I'm honestly, every time I speak to a business or a brand that is not already on TikTok, I say, you need to get on there right now, because it will be too late in a year's time. So get your butts on TikTok. And if you're listening to this and you don't have a TikTok for your brand, you need to start now, because this is the point in time where it is starting to overtake, you know, the likes of Instagram and YouTube. You're not going to be in the race. You're literally going to be left behind. And I hate to say it like that, because obviously social media is so fickle, but I do truly believe that businesses and brands need to be aware. And if you're not being aware of what's around you, what's going on, trends and things changing, then you are going to be left in the dust. And that's the harsh truth of the situation. But sometimes those rebrands and those shifts in industries evolving is what's needed to keep brands, afloat. I think there's a lot of brands over the years, really long-standing businesses who, lost their shine because they just sat around and wouldn't admit that they needed to change their act and get on board with certain things. And those brands have been left in the dust. So you really need to realise that and actualise the situation. Like, take action now. Get yourself on TikTok. I promise you guys, I'm not a TikTok ambassador, but I do think it's where social media is going. So yeah, I think there's lots of different ways in which you can know if it's time to change. And I think there's different ways to look at it. Another really important one is when you feel like you've outgrown your own brand. So for me, that was my brand feeling really babyish. And I say babyish because it just felt not me anymore. And I feel like another really good example, like on social media, is YouTubers who maybe started like 10 years ago and they were teenagers and they were doing what's in my bag and what's in my pencil case videos. Like, I would sit and watch those things, or back to school series, or what I'm wearing to college, that type of thing. And now they're mums or they're business owners and they're talking about finances and budgeting, and okay, you've just clicked on YouTube and forgotten you're subscribed to them, but their content's evolved now, like you've evolved. And actually, I'm still interested in what they're producing, but it's not why I started following them. And I think sometimes you do have to look at the evolution of your own personal brand and where you see yourself in that next phase and people taking you seriously. Like, for me, it was definitely that step of, okay, Banty's leather and lace does not sound appropriate for where I want my business to go. And okay, my email address, that's not on brand because it doesn't say my full name. It's not helpful for brands to find me, etc., etc. All these little different things in your strategy are going to happen over time, and you have to just allow it. You have to allow yourself to accept that you will outgrow your current branding. And it's okay, it doesn't have to be you anymore. I've had it all. I've had my blog, my vlog channel art, my banners, intros for videos, profile pictures. Like, I'm already thinking about new podcast art and we're only in episode 17. Sometimes you have to just allow your business to accept these little rebrands and tweaks. And sometimes those changes will actually be the pivotal moments of success for you. So yeah, I'm definitely at a stage now where I'm thinking about where my podcast is going. I'm super excited for my Instagram, and I know you guys are going to be too. So if you aren't already following me over there, go follow me over there. There's going to be some exciting content coming in the next few weeks, actually, some announcements. So stay tuned, get yourself on there, get yourself following. And yeah, I'm really excited to see where my podcast is by the end of the year. I feel like smart companies rebrand because they know that good design mixed with, established rebranding and strategy is a winning formula for success. And I really want to share that with you today. So if you're thinking about re-strategizing, you can do it. Have a little brainstorm, do your business study SWOT analysis, and I promise you it's going to be the making of your business. Thank you so much for tuning in to Staying Sweet, the podcast. If you enjoyed listening, please do leave a review, and I will catch you next week for a new episode. Stay sweet.